Welcome back here with Goldberg. Today we'll be talking about the realm of loneliness, since this seems to come to the fore whenever we are mentioning the less savory aspects of relationships or marriage. Now, to begin, I'll address this comment I received, and it goes, I like your content, but there's the classic Western societal disclaimer, and I've always told people, speak your mind. You're not achieving anything with disclaimers because people are either too low IQ or they will assume you're insincere and believe what you're disclaiming is in fact your opinion, so they'll attack you on that basis. CYA does nothing when it comes to internet discussions. But he takes umbrage with my contention that most men would rush for the chance to have a no strings attached encounter with an attractive woman if they could. He says no, close to 50% would reject that. Not nearly close to 50% in my opinion, but I will grant you there are some guys, no matter how black-pilled they claim to be, oh, it's all about biological determination, it's all about things beyond your control. These are made-up memes, love, romance. But they still demand if you tell them, hey, you could go and smash that chick if you have to go overseas or shell out some resources. No, 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 no. It has to be true love or I won't do it. You're going, you're kind of hurting yourself here. The flip side are the ones that will say, I always had an easy time with the ladies in my teens and 20s, picking them up, pumping and dumping. But ever since I hit 30, bro, it's getting rough out there. I'm black-pilled. That's when you're just fishing for validation and sympathy, and I have no respect for those types. The kind of humble bragging. Well, in a way, this guy in the comment is doing the same thing. He says that he makes six figures, he lives in a pay-for-play paradise, he's lost track of his body counts, and he says, I have Chad potential. No, you don't. Whenever they say that, you know it's almost certainly not the case. I'm 6'1". I have other revenues. I'm overall good looking, 8.5/9.9 with selfies on PhotoFeeler, just to give you a measure. Okay, so here's a big problem. Your SMV is not determined by a bunch of Filipinos or gay men rating your pictures on the internet. It's based upon, can you go on a dating app and have women that are willing to hang out with you, no frills, no whining and dining? They are the ones suggesting it. Do you have girls making themselves open to you in public, trying to get physically close to you? Now, granted, not all women will do that, but a lot are going to. So if you're not coming across that, you don't have this high SMV. It doesn't matter how your photos are rated by randos around the world. This is a truly important dynamic because you'll have those types that come in, I'm what you guys call a Chad, but you probably aren't. Okay? Many men will grossly exaggerate, especially by modern standards, what their SMV is because they're trying to claim, they're looking for a justification for why things haven't worked for them specifically. And usually it's just a normie that doesn't understand what's going on. Oh, but look, he says that he's not a normie. I'm not a giga high IQ for sure, but I'm way above most people. So stop right there. Whenever a person preemptively declares that they're high IQ, you have to pump the brakes. There are many folks who say they're high IQ and they reflexively agree with and carry water for anything that Donald Trump says, even when he lies blatantly. Just like there are ones who on paper are high IQ, but if a corporation or government tells them to do something, yes, sir, whatever you please, that is not an indication of anything. It's really just that once more patting yourself on the back. But according to him, if he was lower IQ, he would have pair bonded with a girl early on and he would have lived happily ever after. Now, first of all, pair bonding is grossly exaggerated. I'll get into that just a little bit. Most folks are not meeting a high school sweetheart and marrying them or staying together for the rest of their life. That is relatively uncommon nowadays. Maybe it's more so in Europe, but certainly not the United States. And if indeed he's 6'1", good looking, and high IQ, six-figure income, you hang out in a European college town, you can find some Grace Chang or Pooja, Jambo Rafiki Watoto girl doing a master's or PhD in Europe, and you can at least have someone who is, to a degree, intellectually compatible. I'm not saying that means they're high IQ like you are, but they will be closer to the same range. And if you can't do that, and you say, oh, I'm a mental cell, this is probably self-inflicted. You have to be a low-functioning autist to be at a position where you are good-looking but cannot interact or connect with any women. or again, you can go overseas. So I never have much sympathy for people, especially the ones with means that just want to wallow and complain and do nothing when they actually have resources or the capacity, as much as they're claiming, to change it. As for the broader category of loneliness, let me talk about my background. So, when I was younger, I had a couple of close friends, but most people it was based upon current stage of life. And as folks grow up, they go to school, they get married, it tends to fade. It's a normal process. When I was in trades, hung out with a group of dudes. As soon as I moved a couple hours away, it wasn't helping them with their homework or hanging out with them on a regular basis. It was like you don't exist anymore. And this is just how a lot of human beings tend to operate. It's very much what utility is being provided at this time. Even, I'd say, with family members, blood relatives. It's not that they're bad people, but if it comes down to it, it's self preservation or what's in their immediate interests. That's what they're going to pursue. I don't have a jaded or cynical view. It's just acceptance, and I have low expectations for human behavior, which paradoxically has helped me a great deal to not be annihilated by experiences and relationships, as you see many people are, sadly. And that's what we can delve into. I've been in a couple of LTRs, and we'll take the last one as an example. When I met her, she had never really had a boyfriend. She was still physically intact. And so the pair bonding helps, absolutely. It's probably a reason we were together as long as we happen to be. But pair bonding ultimately is no match for feminist friends, for social media, for simp snatchers whispering in the ear, because the biggest drug for a woman is the concept of, I can get something better. And this is like most of them have weak constitutions and they can't resist it. So when our relationship started going south in 2021, I had some other girls who were interested in me, but the idealistic side of Goldberg said, I don't want to see her going down the same route as your typical American woman, where they destroy themselves in their 20s and they find some simp to abuse in their 30s and 40s. So when she hit me back up, I was like, let me make a good faith effort. Let me try to see if the tradcon mentality is correct. Let me try to make this function a little bit better. And what I noticed is instead of gratitude, once I took her back, she became resentful, more emotionally and psychologically abusive, as if, oh, I know that you value me and you don't want to lose me, so that's my excuse to treat you like garbage. And how does this process play out? Well, they will do stuff like the walking on eggshells. Anything that you do slightly they don't like is grounds for, oh, I'm going to break up with you. So they hold that over your head. Or they try to freeze you out, unperson you. So take 12, 24 hours, a couple days to respond to a message as though you're some schmuck on a dating app trying to get attention from them, when in fact you have an established history. And they start gaslighting you. They say that you have, from the very beginning, they lie and say you've been abusing them from the very beginning. Or on the flip side, they claim you've never done anything good for me. Now, if this is from some random stranger on the street, I recently had some abuse from some person. I don't know if they were mentally ill or just a land whale with kids. And that's like whatever, that's water off your back. But if it's a person you care about and feel responsible for, it's totally different. Now, I am lucky I can cauterize that stuff because of my background. I always had that expectation. Ultimately, I'll probably end up alone. It's just an acceptance. It's not a negative attitude like some normie con will screech. But for people that really, the guys that feed off of validation and attention, the ones who say a woman is the center of their existence and that's their kind of alpha and omega of life, that can be absolutely devastating. You stay with someone 20, 30 years, have kids with them, you show your vulnerabilities and you think it's making the relationship stronger, and they just decide to, oh, bye. I knew a guy married a little bit less than 10 years, 3 kids, worked his ass off, providing her with a nice house, everything remodeled, latest cars. Um, and they go on vacation. She said it was a great time, smashed multiple occasions. They come back home and she says, by the way, I'm leaving you. We're divorcing. She goes with some younger guy, ruins her life financially, socially, whatever. And the dude, he's never recovered. He's still a very bitter individual. He's trying to raise his kids by himself. It's sad, but you see what happens when people, they pledge themselves so much to this idea, and they say, I'm going to be the exception. Well, you're probably not Alex and Gigi, I'm just telling you, and they more than likely broke up themselves. So being able to protect oneself is important. Why do you think we still see so much of this in the present day? Men in their 50s and 60s on the internet talking for hours about female nature, analyzing it, cracking the code, running game. It's because they never got over that girl who broke their heart years ago. And it's extremely emasculated form of behavior. I think that Lux Maximus said it best. When it comes to their psychology or how they treat you, you will never understand. She will never understand. Society will never understand. So don't bother wasting your life as these guys are doing. It's perfectly okay, mind you. If you want to, you meet a girl, you want to do the relationship thing, and I will tell you, when it works, it's better than being single, 100%. But you got to keep in the back of your mind, you're more than likely, there's going to be an expiration date. And if you wrap yourself all around it, it can destroy you. It can turn you into someone that you don't trust your own thoughts. You are bitter. You're wasting whatever is left of your time on the planet doing stuff like this, having these discussions and interactions on the internet, which really don't get us any closer to it because we live in a historical anomaly. The idea of having to cuck dance and get a woman to like you and all this. In the past, what was it? You had resources and she would marry you because she didn't, or you would just go and pay for ass, and that's how it played out. You can say, "Oh, that's degenerate. Oh, that's not how it is. Oh, you're spreading sin or something like that." But at the end of the day, whether it's the most degenerate geomaxer possible or it's the tradcon, they're all talking about the same thing using different language, and that's the sad part. So look at all these fellows. Look at the ones who are bald. Look at the ones who are gray. Look at the ones that are bloated and are on their way to morbid obesity and depression. Do you want that to be your life? Or do you want to say, I can take it for what it is. I can appreciate the joys and the nuances that are positive, but I also have to accept a lot of this stuff, it's pre-written. It's not in your control. There isn't a code or a scheme that you can pursue, but rather, no matter how you behave, it's likely to play out in the same manner.